Hey guys, it's Shirley, aka Arrowmi here, and I want to show you guys a bit of the process that went into making my second year film, On My Mind. Of the three films I would be doing in school, I knew that I wanted one to be about love and relationships, and I kind of toyed with the idea of doing like a love story, kind of a la Paperman, or maybe I would do something more moody, like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, that kind of vibe. I played around with a lot of different ideas. What if we lived in a society where we went to the doctor for emotional and heartbreak problems, the way we do for other sicknesses that we have? Another idea I had was a satirical kind of like VHS how-to that you would find from like the 80s. Then I kind of toyed with the idea of doing something weird and quirky, like a sloth going to a therapist session as he talks about his most recent heartbreak. Through each idea that I cycled through, I feel like I kept coming back to the theme of recovery and heartbreak. I was really stuck on this idea of, when you're trying to get over somebody and you wake up every day, they're like the first person on your mind. The first time that they're not the first thing on your mind is like such a huge like milestone. And I was just really like fixated with that idea, and I really wanted to find a way to personify it and somehow stretch it and turn it into a film. I really liked the visual of a crow. It looks like, a shadow, the shadow of a person or a thing that kind of looms over you. And also I liked how it's like small and it's able to like kind of pop up and come and go as it pleases. It was something that could like perfectly fit on a person's head to really represent this idea of like something is on your mind. I had a clear vision of what I wanted the first half of the film to be. The whole sequence of Jess running away from this crow and being kind of this like cat and mouse chase with it. But I didn't really know how to end it. I didn't know where to go after that. I think one of the most painful things upon separating from somebody is knowing that one day they are going to meet somebody else. They are going to meet someone new and move on. And I really wanted that to be the kind of climactic moment that pushes Jess over the edge and makes her lash out at this thing that has been following her and has been a part of her. And in many ways, it's a moment where she's yelling at herself. She's frustrated at herself for feeling this way, for not being able to let go. You can't control these things, and I think that there's a natural frustration that comes with that. I feel like a really essential part of the recovery process is time. And it's really hard to write about the passage of time in a way that's condensed, that fits into a short film, and also doesn't feel boring. I'm still not 100% happy with how the second part of the film is written, but I just felt like it was the most efficient way I could convey a really important part of the recovery process, which is just time. In the original first draft of the film, the barista had a much bigger role. In the original ending, she ended up with him, or implied that she would end up with him. But when I pitched this version to my classmates at school, people weren't really feeling it. They just felt like it didn't really send the right message or kind of end on the right feeling. And so I kind of had to go back to the drawing board and like really reevaluate, like, what did I want this film to say? And ultimately I realized that no, you don't need to end up with somebody new to be fully recovered. You don't need to end up with somebody new to be a full and complete person. And it was really important that the film reflected that. It was important that the film ended not with Jess running away from her ex, not with her ending up with somebody new, but just with her kind of coming to peace with where she is at life and who she is. I always hoped that the crow metaphor could stand for more than just romantic issues. It's not about running away from these things or completely eradicating them from our lives. It's about coexistence. So for this film, I really wanted to do something that was different from Noose. The entire film takes place in a city, and it has a very strong Parisian theme to it. Both Jess and Tom are drawn in my usual regular drawing style. Jess is the embodiment of my comfort doodle. I really wanted the main character to be someone that I could relate to and I could see myself as. Tom was designed to be kind of this caricature of a Casanova playboy kind of guy. Voice actors are such a huge part of what brings a character to life, and I actually found a couple of my voice actors on just a cold YouTube search. The dominant color theme in this film was a lot of pinks and reds and really warm, saturated colors. I really wanted it to have kind of like a romantic and feminine edge to it. So in making a short film, I kind of go through a series of steps. The first thing that I do is I make thumbnails for the storyboards. These will be done very quick and very rough. Sometimes they just look like weird scribbles and they're kind of illegible to anyone but me. They're really important to help block out the storyboard at a glance and kind of seeing how each shot cuts together before you fully go in and render them. And then I'll go through and I'll make formal storyboards and print them out and then pitch them to my classmates for feedback. After all of the writing and the shots are kind of tied down, I will go through and I'll make an animatic, which is putting the storyboards together in a way that it's kind of watchable and you get a sense of what your film looks like in motion. For this film, I incorporated a bit of 3D to help me with some of the assets and the animation. I find perspective very difficult, so I decided to use Maya as a tool to help me draw backgrounds faster and with, like really accurate perspective. I would create sets in Maya to the storyboards that I had and just kind of like screenshot whatever I needed to make the backgrounds. I even created a really janky looking Just 3D model so I could use it for camera turn reference and some animation reference. So this film was made on a Cintiq when I was at home, and I would be working on my Surface Pro 4 when I was on the go. And the program that I use to animate in is TV Paint. I do a lot of my backgrounds and my concept art in Clip Studio Paint and Photoshop. When I start a shot, I usually finish the background first, and then I will go through and I will block in the character. And the reason I do the background first is because I think it's easier for me to block in a character when I have a sense of the space and the environment. And then I just go through and start animating. I usually start with keyframes, and then I will do in-betweens. And when the animation is okay, then I'll go through and I'll do cleanup, which is basically drawing over my rough pencil drawings with a clean black line. Then after cleanup is done, I can go through and kind of bucket fill each frame to give it some flat color. And then I go through and add shading. And after a shot is animated, sometimes I'll bring it into After Effects for additional compositing. And when a sequence is finished, I'll bring it into Premiere and composite it along with the other clips. And I'll also add sound effects and music and dialogue. So altogether, the process of one shot might look something like this.
It's been fun. You've been a great sport. Coffee's on me.
It's been fun. You've been a great sport. Coffee's on me. It's been fun. You've been a great sport. Coffee's on me. It's been fun. You've been a great sport. Coffee's on me.
I definitely tried to improve the animation quality in this film from my last one, and there are some shots in this film that have over 200 frames. And after a year of toiling away, I finally finished it. It's a very scary thing to take something vulnerable and personal to you and turn it into something that other people can watch and judge and potentially tear you down for. As scary as it is, I feel like making this film was very empowering for me. It was my way of taking a negative experience and feeling in my life and turning it into an accomplishment, turning it into something that I felt very proud of. I feel like I made this film to help people feel less alone about this kind of stuff, but every time someone would come up to me and tell me that they could relate or share a bit of their story, I felt like it had the opposite effect. I feel like other people were helping me feel less alone, and I think that's such an amazing thing. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I cannot wait to share the next one with you.